All right, sweet. So since we're live, since I'm recording, you guys' phones need to be zipped up, distractions put away for the time being. It's a lot of videos introducing some of the stuff I'm talking about today. Bless you, bless you. Unit 6 introduction is going to be that continuation of advanced CSS part 2, and this first assignment in that order is focused specifically on something called media queries. So you're going to be hearing me say a lot in class talking about how to make your page more responsive, how to make it adjust more easily to a variety of different screen sizes. Media queries is going to be the first way that you can get that happening in a cool way. It builds off of that idea. Hi, good morning. It builds off of that idea of conditionals, where if a certain thing is met, then something else will happen. And there'll be lots of videos and resources attached in our thread for the week. Speaking of, here's our thread. And I want to start off, just so you guys kind of have an idea of how media queries function, how they work, with a quick video. It's about 10 minutes, just kind of breaking things down. And it's attached here in the replies, the video explanation. So I'm going to play that real quick, pause the recording, and then we'll talk about it after that. I just realized I've been muted. But we can use the link tag to reference a style sheet like we normally do. But with this attribute of media equals screen, the media attribute defines what types of devices should use what style sheets. And there are a bunch of different media types. There are not this many specifically. This is just kind of in general. The three that we're going to be sticking to are screen, print, and then one called speech, like you saw in the video talking about screen readers. And you can have multiple different style sheets for multiple different media types, all contained within your root folder, that when a certain condition is met, like a min width or a media type is set to screen, something like that, then that style sheet will come in and start applying whatever CSS you have written on it. So some problems that you may encounter when using media queries is that a lot of the times mobile devices don't actually have the handheld property. The handheld property seems like kind of a bygone sort of distinction back when there were PDAs back in the 2000s, the first kind of onset of pocket computing, because apps like Safari, Firefox, Chrome, they want to show the full web and request the entire desktop version of a site as compared to the handheld version. So you can work around this by specifying screen sizes is 90% of the time what you're going to be doing with media queries, as compared to specifying the media type. Like the guy said in the video, he usually sets it to all so that it's you don't have to get specific as much on the different types here. We're going to stick to min width and max width. There's some ways that I remember how each of them work, and I'll demonstrate for you shortly, as well as min height and max height. It is works exactly the same. This version, if you wanted to get even more specific with your media queries, you can put it inside of the Zelda link on the anchor. So you have your screen and your minimum width equals 800 pixels. So that's our conditional. When our condition is met, then whatever CSS happens here will be applied. And this is the same thing with a different example of max width of 799 pixels. This PowerPoint is available if you ever need to download it and keep it for your notes. But let's talk about what 6.1 is actually asking of you. And then we'll do a root folder setup. And then we can start writing some code for these two exercises. So your 6.1, it's available in, well, maybe not. Hold on. Let's go into web design. All right, so Unit 6 Advanced CSS Part 2 is an available module right here underneath Exit Questions. And so assignment 6.1 should be available here. So this is currently due on Friday with a deadline after break of January 12th in that assignments category. 2 exercises, just like 5.2. This first exercise has CSS media queries that has 3 specific conditions that need to be met when specific media types happen. So that's these first exercise I'll walk you through a little bit today. This will require 1 HTML file and 3 separate CSS files. There's no longer the VS Code worksheet because that was previous years, but there will be this video record as well as my help during the school day. And then the second exercise is continued practice with media queries, writing a web page that shows red, green, and blue squares using divs side by side. And when the page hits a certain breakpoint, less than 800 pixels, change the display of the squares to a column instead. So before we do any of that, we need to set up our Unit 6 root folders because this is our 6.1 section here. It's going to be exactly the same setup as Unit 5, but just so that we have a record, I'm going into my File Explorer here. We'll minimize this and this. My File Explorer, first period web design. I have mine. If you go to View and you check this click this menu that says Group By, I have mine grouped by type so that I can see here's all my zips, here's all my archives, here's all my different folders, right? It just makes it a lot easier to keep track of where my files are at. So if you're interested in that, View and then Group By type like this. We are going to make our new folder for Unit 6 using the Canvas naming scheme, right? Oh. I fumbled. Let me try that again. Unit 6. How do you group them? You go to View, and then there's a thing that says Group By right up here, and then I group them by type. And that'll automatically just separate them into their file types. So inside of Unit 6, you can see it's going to be right underneath Unit 5. Keep everything nice and organized. We're definitely going to need a style subfolder, and we're definitely going to need an SRC subfolder because we're working with a lot more style sheets than HTML files this time around. Multiple style sheets can be applied to single HTML files, and so that when certain things you want to happen, you can make either a whole separate style sheet or you can just use multiple per page, which comes into play when you start thinking about the responsiveness of your page here. So remember, we follow our path. Unit 6 should have an SRC and a styles subfolder inside of here, just like Unit 5. This is stuff we've been doing setup. So I'm going to get into VS Code here and start doing our index page setup and stuff like that so we can get into the first exercise on 6.1. So I'm going to File and then Open Folder. I'm going to find my way to first period web design in OneDrive. Find my Unit 6 root that I've just created. And I'm going to start, before I do any type of 6.1, before I do any type of CSSing, anything like that, I need to make my index page. So I'm going to click on the new file icon right at the top here. Unit 6 index.html. Don't forget your file extension. I'm going to start that like normal. HTML5, and this is B. Blakeney Unit 6. And then we're going to put a little header in the top here. Remember, you can just type the tag name and then hit enter or click the wrench, and it will automatically add that start and end tag for you. This is B. Blakeney first period Unit 6. All right. Remember, the only thing that is required on your index page besides decorations of your own are anchors to each of your other HTML files, which we need to make first before we do anything too crazy. But in the web design world, if you want to leave a placeholder for something like a href or an SRC or whatever, so I'm just going to type a href, I'm going to put a hashtag inside of these quotes. That's not going to obviously do anything because there's no hypertext to be referenced inside of my href. But if you ever want to leave a placeholder for a link you're going to fill in later, you can add a hashtag and then fill it in after that. Outside of my quotes, I'm going to add a target equals blank attribute, if I can spell it. Target equals blank attribute like this, so that when I click on the link, it opens it in a new tab. And then I'm just going to put 6.1 in the content section here so that it is ready to go once I make my 6.1 HTML file.
Can I just make it like not blank, not target blank, but
yeah, you can do whatever you want with the extra attribute. I just like target blank because it opens on a different page. Okay, so now let's create B Blakeney, create a new file for 6.1, P1 6.1.html. Cannot forget those file extensions, especially with our new method. HTML5, start it like normal, and we're going to change our document title to be the one that is actually used for the assignment. 6.1 like this. All right, put a little placeholder in here that says this is assignment 6.1. We'll get into it here in just a second. And now we can go back to our index page and change this hashtag to be the actual HTML file that we've just created here. Make sure that's running. I'm going to go live on my index page. Oh, we're quite zoomed in. I click on 6.1. It should just take me to a blank page. It says this is assignment 6.1. So we are all good and set up to start talking a little bit about this first exercise here. So the same way that we did 2 exercises on a single HTML page, we're going to do again for 6.1, just like we did on 5.2. But instead of making an entire separate section for CSS Media Queries Exercise 2, this page, this 6.1 will have 4 style sheets total for one single HTML file. So what we'll do first is just type a little bit of, let's change this placeholder so that it's not just hanging out. We need to build, we don't need to build, but what I like to build is a little tester, kind of like a little indicator to make sure that my CSS is working. So if we look at first using CSS Media Queries, one of the rules for the web page is extra large, 2x normal, white text on a blue background when this CSS happens. Yeah, Grace.
For the 5.1 thing, do we have to name it that way, or do you like name it by way?
The only ones you have to name with the Canvas scheme are your root folder and your each HTML assignment. You can name your style sheets, whatever helps you connect them together. But this needs to be named specifically, and the root itself needs to be named specifically. Okay, so what I like to do is make a little test to make sure that all my style sheets are connected here. So this has some styling, double font with double white text with a blue background. This has normal red text on a yellow background, and this is just regular black text on a white background, but that's specific to when the page is printed. Each one of these options is going to be its own CSS file. So I'm going to go into my styles subfolder with a solid rectangle, create a new file. 6.1 underscore blue style dot CSS is what I'm going to call mine, because this style sheet is specific to making the thing blue. I'm going to repeat that process for my other 6.1 requirements. So next is going to be 6.1 underscore yellow style dot CSS. And then my third and final style sheet for this first exercise here is going to be 6.1 underscore BW for black and white style dot CSS. So we've created 3 blank style sheets inside of the root here. You can tell I'm opening a ton of tabs towards the top, but that is okay. Now we need to do the styling that the thing is actually asking of us, and I'll show you what I mean when I say indicator here in just a second. So if we go back to the Canvas page, blue style is 200% font, white text on a blue background, and we'll get into the CSS of it later. So if I go back to my VS Code, just write a rule for, actually, sorry, I need some structure before I do anything. And I haven't linked any of these together yet. So in order to build my little indicator to make sure that all of my style sheets are connected together correctly, I need some divs so that they actually display in the way that I need them to. So I'm going to go div.blue. Okay, this is blue div. I'm going to go div.yellow. Okay, Obviously, this is going to be yellow div. And then I'm going to go div.bw. BW, that's going to be black and white. So this, if we're running it, oh, I closed my tab. Thank you. If we're running this, there's going to be no change because obviously we've not linked to any of our style sheets, nor done any CSS to actually apply them onto here. The thing that's going to be different this time is instead of writing all of these classes on a single style sheet, I'm going to write them on their respective style sheets. So if I go into 6.1 blue style, this is where I put the rule for div.blue, curly bracket, that sets the font size to be 200%. And then the color and stuff to blue, whatever. So I'm just going to set that first one so that you guys have a chance to do all that. Okay. Black and white style, or sorry, yellow style. Next, we're going to go div.yellow on a completely different style sheet. Curly bracket. Set that color to be yellow. Like this. And then on black and white, we're going to set the div.bw, which I think it was both lowercase. Let me see. It was. Div.bw, we're going to just add a border to it so you can see. This is not the CSS that I'm actually looking for because that is your guys' job. Okay, so we have 3 separate style sheets with a single rule on each of them. Now we can connect all 3 of our style sheets to a single HTML file so that when we run it, these indicators, what's up? Black and white, I just set to a border because we'll get to the actual CSS I want you to do later. Just set it to something so that it has a little box around it. What we'll do now is 3 separate Zelda links. So I'm going to hit LINK and hit enter. My first href is always going to start with the subfolder. And then you can see my 3 different style sheets. I'm just going to repeat 3 separate Zelda links into the head with each of these specific style sheets. So first one's going to be blue style. And then we're always going to add that type equals text/CSS. I'm going to close this Explorer so you can see my whole window here. Repeat that process one more time. Href's going to start with the subfolder, yellow style, and then I'm going to highlight this type little section here so I don't have to type it all out again. Copy that and paste that in there, Control V. And then finally, our third link for this first exercise is going to be styles, BW style, Control V, text/CSS. So now, even though 3 separate style sheets with only 1 rule each, when I go live on this HTML file, if you've linked all 3 of them correctly, you can see, it's impossible to see the yellow div right here. Blue div has the CSS applied, which was just the font size of 200%. Yellow div turned yellow, and black and white div has a border, 1 HTML file housing 3 separate style sheets that you can put whatever media queries for specific looks that you want. For example, blue style could be your mobile layout, yellow style could be your medium resolution, your medium-sized screen layout, and black and white style can be your normal full screen layout, all contained within 3 separate style sheets for the sake of organization. So we're going to talk more this week because I'm running out of Zoom time here, but your HTML should look something like this, with the root folder looking something like this on the other side. So I'll give you guys a second to check that. Make sure yours is looking similar to mine. And there's no CSS that needs to happen right now. You just need to have the style sheets created and linked. And yeah, we'll get into what it's actually asking. Or you can copy, or you can do the what it's actually asking from Canvas. And then just for good measure, underneath my title, I'm going to add a version number just by typing V1 and then control question mark, turn that into a quick comment so that I know what each of these, or I know what version I'm on for this webpage. So make sure yours looks something similar to this. It's just a border. Yes, it just looks like this. Div.bw just got a 1 pixel solid black border. If you do want to copy my example CSS from the video, my black and white just has this 1 pixel solid border. My yellows just has a color set to yellow like this. And then blue just sets the font size to be 200%. So long as your class selectors, your dot or your period class names like this, match up with whatever you set in the HTML. So we have div blue, div yellow, and div BW. Here we have div blue, div yellow, and div BW. It's just a little bit of CSS so that you know for sure that it's working before you start doing anything too crazy. Let me actually change this to background color so it's not so hard to see. Like this. Okay, so now, yes, that's a little bit easier. Perfect. 3 separate style sheets, 3 separate pieces of CSS. As long as it all matches up, it will work exactly like it would with a single style sheet. It's right now, it's just kind of supposed to look like this. And I can check yours here in just a second. The biggest thing that you need for today is your root folder set up with 3 separate style sheets, all linked to the HTML. Because we're going to build on it from here. Let me see the style sheets. Okay, blue works. Well, let me see your yellows working with your blues working with your BW, where yeah, your BW. So let me see your style sheet. Let me see your 6.1. Lower. So change the class name to capital BW and then we'll start. Oh, not that, because that's the whole style sheet. You just leave the class to BW. Okay, now we go back. It'll have to. As I said, it's the background color. I changed it so it looks a little. Okay. So. As long as your guys is looking like this, you're in a good spot. So like normal, I'm going to be continuously adding stuff to the replies, different things to assign to different days. But this will get us nice and prepared for this week to talk about media queries, hit the ground running during our block day and Thursday, because we do need to finish Spider-Man at some point. This week is probably the best week to do that. Did we finish Spider-Man?
Finished, I completed.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Maybe it's a different class. Well, maybe Thursday or Friday if you guys are good. Yeah. Tom, you have a question? Oh yeah, I can help you just. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap up the Zoom room. Thank you guys for listening. Kind of a slow day as we approach our winter break. But we're gonna talk about media queries this week. So if you want to do more research to get prepared, that's what the thing is called that we're working on. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
What happens if